Today we are looking at why this Jeep CJ7 won't start. The most obvious thing to look for, of course, is gas, but we have plenty of that. The other thing to consider with this vehicle anyway is that it's been sitting for quite a while, and I think the ethanol is probably affecting the fuel system somehow. I put in gas cleaner in high octane fuel, but after replacing the belts, it failed to start. A mechanic once told me that the three essential ingredients for an older car to start is air, gas, and spark. I don't know what the ingredients are on a more modern car. My guess would be that the photon plasma inverters are out of metachlorians. I don't know. But what we're going to do first is open up this air cleaner and take a look into the carburetor. I suspect it's not getting fuel because the tune-up on this was done fairly recently after the engine blew. So I don't think it has anything to do with the plugs or wires or anything. I think we're all set there. The solenoid on the starter has been replaced and it's been starting just fine. So I suspect that it's probably not getting fuel. And so what you can do is, and I've already done this, is that you have someone else climb into the cab and press on the accelerator and see if there's any gas that gets injected into the carburetor. If this flap is closed, just go ahead and open that. So it's obviously not getting any fuel. I suspect if that gas cleaner did its job and loosened up the gunk from the ethanol, my hope is the fuel filter is bad. And I've also noticed that this hose is also quite corroded, so I'll be replacing that regardless. But before we replace that air filter, we're going to test the fuel pump. Now on these older cars, the fuel pumps are mechanical. It's right here. And that is attached to the camshaft. And by moving a lever when the engine gets cranked over, it creates suction, some pressure in there, and will pump gas to the carburetor. So in order to test that, what you're going to want to do is to disattach this this piping here, this gas line, and get a container, glass, can, whatever, and turn the crank and turn it over. And if gas shoots out of there, you know that your fuel pump is fine, and that your fuel filter is most likely the culprit.
Ready?
Nope. So what we've gone and done is taken the fuel line from the fuel pump off the fuel filter and attempt to see if it'll give us some gas when it gets turned over. Okay, go ahead. So as you can see, we are getting gas there. So it appears that it is not the fuel filter either that is our problem. I took off all three tubes, the one to the ACS, the main line to the carburetor, and of course the one from the fuel pump. And gas came out of both ends, this side and this side. So the suspicion now moves to the inlet on the carburetor, so we're going to take that apart and see if maybe there's a clog there. This nut here is a 1/2 inch. I had to put an adjustable wrench on here to prevent that from spinning, but this nut right here will spin over this tube, so if this starts to move, just kind of hold on to that and make sure that you're not going to damage this gas line here. When I removed this nut, gas did come out of there, so we still haven't found out where the holdup is. I'm going to take this one out next. This is a 9/16, and we'll see if we can find out what's going on. So I removed this nut, and it looks like maybe there's a little valve in there. I'm going to take that apart and see what's going on. So that little valve, or that little piece that was in there, seemed to be kind of stuck in there. I don't know if you can see through there, but this is that other little piece. It seems stuck in there. So I loosened it up, and I'm going to put it back together and see if maybe that fixes the problem. The theory here is that maybe that valve got stuck closed. I believe that controls the reservoir in the carburetor, so my hope is that thing got stuck shut and wasn't allowing any more gas to come in. So we did actually get it started. Apparently the valve in here was preventing it from